teachers. We are half of 4 lit teachers. I'm Eléa.
I'm Amelia.
And we're doing a really special and exciting video today. It's one of the ones that gets requested the most in our comments. So we are doing a sort of double whammy fall vibes video, which is gonna be like cozy and spooky at the same time. And Amelia, do you want to tell us about this little candle situation?
Yes, we have a nice fall decor in the background with some little pumpkins and some very fancy candles, one of which is my favorite scent, the white pumpkin, and it has cinnamon and an autumn spice blend.
Mwah. That's what we like to hear.
Oh, the mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a novice.
We're too cozy. We're too cozy to be
bothered by the tech.
Exactly.
Inhibited.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you wanna start us off?
For sure. So I have a nice variety of autumn reads here, although I realized after picking them that they aren't necessarily set in the fall. So
That's okay.
We are doing a broad interpretation of fall vibes. And
Vibes over facts.
Yes.
As we said previous to filming, vibes over facts is today's motto.
So to get us started, we're going to continue with the Russian lit theme from last video. And I am suggesting Nikolai Gogol selected stories, including The Nose and The Overcoat, which I've read. But then I'm also interested in reading The Government Inspector, which is a play instead of a short story.
Nice.
But what's great and kind of like fall vibes I felt about Gogol is just the satire that is like funny, but it's also kind of brutal at times as well.
Is fall funny? Fall is funny and brutal.
Yeah, like a dark humor that feels fall to me in a way. Totally. I have not read The Government Inspector, but The Nose we were just talking about is hilarious. It's about this government worker whose nose just falls off one day and then develops a whole persona and becomes a lot more accomplished and respected within the workplace and also the community than its owner. And so it's about this man who becomes jealous of his own nose.
Okay, that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Can we show, is there a nose on the cover?
There's no nose, but there's some nice cover art that I very much appreciate.
Nice, classic edition.
So getting started with not too much spooky vibes, but little dark.
I feel like fall is like a classics season.
Yeah.
Fall is a season for classics.
I'm a sucker for the classics, so.
I know. All right, what do I have here? Okay, I guess like kind of spooky, kind of classic, but I do love Agatha Christie. This is my only Agatha Christie book that hasn't been lent or given away. Honestly, Agatha Christie is probably the author that I've read the most books by. I've read a good like 10 to 15, which I guess if you count series is maybe whatever. Let's just say it's the author that I've read the most individual non-series books by. So yeah, Death on the Nile, not my favorite one ever, but you know, Agatha Christie's spooky. This one, it starts off slow. I feel like you really get into it on page like 250 or like 200 or something. So I guess too, it's like if you really want to take your time, you have like a full day, full afternoon, and you're like, I'm gonna read those 200 pages, and I'm gonna sit back, and I'm gonna get to like the meat of the novel. Anyway, love Agatha Christie.
I've not read any Agatha Christie.
Okay, we should do a video, a special Agatha Christie video. Where I tell 3 lit teachers about Agatha Christie.
Sounds good. I'm in.
All right,
so,
what do you got?
Going forward with the spooky vibes, the most kind of spooky book I could think of off the top of my head is The Turn of the Screw, which I'm sure all of us have read in university.
I haven't read it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Please do.
I thought that would be a sure thing, but it is a ghost story, or debatable. We have a bit of an unreliable narrator here, so whether the ghosts do or do not exist is up for debate. But I just remember reading this, and it was like the first experience where I actually felt like, oh my God, I'm scared to be in my apartment alone reading this, because it's just like very vivid depictions, but it's more than just a ghost story in that you're actually like questioning, okay, so is this actually what's happening, or is this, you know, this woman who's a governess who has a sense of her own kind of importance and is trying to
love
like
a story about a governess.
Yeah, and is trying to like pretend as though she has more responsibility than she actually does. And so like, yeah, it's I really love it. But again, I was asking myself, is this actually set in the fall? Because when I think back to my memories of it, I'm picturing, like we're walking around in the nice English countryside. It is very cold and rainy and kind of like fall leaves everywhere. But I couldn't actually confirm that just like leafing through it. So it's hard to actually pinpoint a fall novel, I find. But
true. Yeah.
It gives me fall vibes.
Now I need to read it, so I will let you know if it's
Well, there's also a Netflix show, the depiction of it, The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Oh my God, The Haunting of Bly Manor. Okay, wow, this is going to be such a good segue into my next book. I did watch The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Okay.
Oh my God, I had no idea it was about this.
Wow. Yeah. So it's based on this. I actually also saw a play adaptation of this that was pretty messed up. And
in a good way or in a bad way?
A small kind of audience, very like intimate performance, and in a bad way. I just felt like they went full on with the inappropriate kind of like sexual undertones of this that was very disturbing, but maybe that's what they were going for. So yeah, like
who knows.
Proceed with caution.
Yeah. Speaking of Netflix adaptations, so there was The Haunting of Bly Manor, but there's also The Haunting of Hill House, based on Shirley Jackson's book, which is totally different, and they totally messed it up, but that's okay. And my next book is also Shirley Jackson, but We've Always Lived in the Castle, because I don't have a copy of The Haunting of Hill House. But this one is also excellent. And yeah, you see cover, already spooky. Back cover, angry mob of villagers, very fall. And it's just like this weird, also character is called Mary Catherine Blackwood, very fall. And it's just these two sisters who live in a castle in an old kind of mansion, and you're trying to piece together what happened to their family. You kind of get this sense that everyone's dead and maybe one of the two sisters did something, but you don't really know, and they're very much outcasts in the village, and the ending is incredible. And it's kind of a like, yeah, it's just about these two sisters' relationships in this old empty castle. There's a black cat, very fall. Yeah, it's incredible.
When was it published?
Okay, that's an excellent question.
Like recently or
no.
Yeah.
No. I'm too scared of saying something in case 1962.
Okay.
I was going to say 50s, but 1962. Yes.
Awesome.
You wanna...
So kind of changing the fall interpretation, I see fall as also a time that you're kind of, holed up at home. You have your nice little blanket, and you're just very, reflective, and you're taking stock of the whole year before you get into like the holiday season. And I feel like one of those books for me is Birdie by Tracy Lindbergh, which is like one of those books where you feel like you're really just in the character's head a lot of the time and thinking back. And there's not really... I think the temporality of this is interesting too, in that it really goes back into the past, but also her interpretations of the past that you're getting in the way that she's talking about it. And you can't really tell like how far back in the past you're going. And she's also traveling too, so you don't really get a sense of like how long the travel time is. So I think that to me that really is just like, okay, it's like you're in a dream, or like you're in this like, fall trance where you're just sitting for an afternoon and time flies by. But it's also very kind of pensive and, serious in a way that is not just like, oh, summer, but, and very kind of focused on place too. And I tend to like that a lot in novels. And so this reminds me a lot of when I was living back in BC. It's set in Gibsons, BC, but then also Alberta. So she travels from Alberta to Gibsons, which is kind of what she sees as a place of, peace, to then end up after this, arduous journey and kind of like thinking as healing, to then get to that place. So kind of like by the sea, but, I picture, I guess, in my head is it being kind of chilly, but now I can't actually remember if it was set in the summer. So
vibes over facts.
Yeah, vibes over facts. So yeah, another one of the only books that I've actually cried reading too. So like a very emotional book, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Nice. Okay. Another perfect segue, because I cried while reading this book, and I don't cry very often while reading books. I love Tilly Walden so much. She's an incredible graphic novel artist. A lot of reds and oranges, very fall. Her book On a Sunbeam. Also, she started writing when she published a graphic novel when she was like 18 or something. She's like our age, like mid-20s, and has published like so many books. Anyway, she's amazing. And this one is kind of like a dreamy road trip after a kind of encounter between two unlikely kind of characters who vaguely know each other, and then they kind of embark on this road trip. There's a cat also. Fall. Also a mob of strange men following them. Fall. And yeah, it's just this like dreamy road trip, and you're not sure what's real or what's not, and there's a lot of like deep reds and oranges and purples and yellow and flashbacks. Also kind of this like time and place, and it kind of just all disintegrates a little by the end, and it's just like, yeah.
Let's show some of those pictures to the audience here. It looks really pretty.
Yeah, there's some, let me see.
I love how we're adding color to this conversation too. I didn't think of that.
Some like weird architecture and like purple caves and forests and cool skies. Anyway, Are You Listening by Tilly Walden.
Okay, and then finally I just wanted to end with some poetry, because I feel like there's always a good time to read a little poem and on the go, or just a full anthology.
Yeah, this book is on the go.
Not very on the go, but so I picked up a few of them. Obviously you need to do some Keats when you're thinking about fall poetry. So To Autumn. I don't know if I wanted to read out a few lines here. I'm not much of a performer. But season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eaves run. Just, I could read poetry all day.
Our next read-along should be a poetry read-along.
Yeah.
We've never done that before. Yeah.
Good idea. And what else have I bookmarked here? After Apple Picking by Robert Frost.
Excellent.
So
I went apple picking a few days ago.
And I want to go apple picking any day now. So yeah, I'm going to get this for inspiration.
Nice.
And how about you?
I don't know. I feel like this is just like a perfect place for us to end up. Yeah, I was going to talk about a book that I don't actually have here, but I think the fall poetry reading was a pretty...
Yep.
The
Sounds
vibes
good.
were perfect. So, on this note...
Thank you so much to our 5,000 followers.
5,000. We are preparing something really special for 10K. So, stay tuned.
We'll catch you later.
Have a lovely fall. Bye.